Good morning, children. How are you all? So, in last biology class, we saw the chapter crop production and management. Okay, just 2 minutes before going into this chapter and your textbook lessons, I hope you're safe in your home. As the days go on, Corona is spreading again and again, and it is just lying in our hands that how safe we are. There is no insurance given by anyone that Corona will not spread. So I request you all to always keep on washing your hands at proper time interval and be safe. Don't step out of your home unnecessarily. Everything will be is door served nowadays. Even your classes are online. It's made online nowadays just because of this situation. I don't know for how much days this situation is going to prevail, but until that, ensure that you are in the safe condition always. Okay. Then the next thing which I thought of talking to you before starting to the classes, some 2 days back, I think so, that there was a news that on the earth there are nearly 8 continents. Still now we learned that only there are 7 continents, right? So what is the 8th continent? Go search in the net and tell me the answer for that in your homework, along with your homework. What is the 8th continent and where does it lie? And how did they find it out? Go in and search for it. So now onwards, there are 8 continents in the earth as the planet. Okay? Okay now. So let's get into the class. So we saw the chapter crop production and management. I hope you would have forgotten what did I taught you in the last class, because continuously the same ma'am is handling physics, chemistry and bio. It's quite difficult to remember which was the last class ma'am taught me, right? Alright. So fine, now let us get into this chapter. This crop production and management is your biology chapter, and this is a bit longer lesson. And we saw about why do we need food. So how did the ancient people from the hunting, how did they emerge to agriculture, and what were the different revolutions they brought up? Green, blue, white, yellow and golden revolutions, so that to satisfy the demand for the food. And since the population is continuously increasing, and how to satisfy the people, there emerged our agricultural practices, right? So agriculture means growing crops and nurturing animal. How do we grow crop? What are the processes involved in growing crops? What are the crops which can grow in our country as per the temperature and climatic conditions? Yes, we saw those. Then the soil becomes compact, soil erosion is prevented. Did you understand what does this point mean? If the soil is just digged and left over like that, what happens if the rain comes? The soil will be washed away with the water. So if I, after digging, if I level it, what do you mean by leveling? Leveling means patting. I will just do the process of patting on the layer of the soil so that it becomes a straight compact layer. Okay, so that the water can be absorbed and sowing becomes a proper one. I hope until this we saw. And did you get a recall of the last session, my dear children? Now let us move on to the next process. We are over with the soil preparation, and what is the next one? Sowing. Let us go into that. Okay. So what is sowing? Sowing means putting the seeds inside the soil and watering it properly for the growth of the plant. Okay. So this is a very important process in your crop production, which should be done with proper care and responsibility. Because I should Choose the seeds which are all of good quality. That is a main important work I should do as a farmer. What do you mean by good quality? The seeds should be clean and healthy. Right? Okay. Does it mean that some bad quality seeds are also present in the market? Yes. How to find out whether a seed is good or bad? How will I know that? To find out, you do this experiment in your home, my dear children. Okay? Take a bowl of water and take some channa seeds or bean seeds, and a handful of seed is enough. Okay? And put it inside the water, inside the bowl having water. Some seeds will be settled at the bottom and some may float on the water. Okay? I hope you would have already noticed this when your mother prepares the food. That is because the seeds which float are hollow in nature. They may be broken or they may be rotten one. Okay? They will have some empty space inside it. They are all the hollow spaced. So that is why they will float in water and indicating as they are all not fit for sowing process. Clear, children? So I should always choose good quality seeds for sowing. That is your point number 1. And the next important work what you should keep in your mind before sowing is the seeds should be sown at a proper distance. I should avoid overcrowding. What do I mean by overcrowding? See, just imagine if I am planting two plants very near to each other. Okay, what will happen? Both the plants will not have equal amount of nutrient supply from the soil. There won't be equal distribution. One may absorb more water and the one may be insufficient of water. So that is the reason the sowing process should be taken care and ensure that the seeds are sown at some proper distance in between. Between a sapling and another one, there should be a distance maintained. Clear? If there are so many seeds sown together, then there would be insufficient of nutrient supply. Okay, so let us see what will happen if I avoid overcrowding. I'm telling you, it is if what will happen if I avoid overcrowding. If I plant the seeds in a proper distance, what are my advantages? Means I will get proper supply of sunlight, nutrients and water. And if I fail to do so, I have to remove some plants. Okay, because there may be insufficient nutrient supply and those plants are all of no use, and at last I have to remove the plants which I myself have sown it because of my carelessness. Due to if I have left the seeds to be overcrowded, and the end result it will be a failure for me, that I have to remove the plants. Clear? So sowing is a very important process in your crop production, and you should keep all these points in your mind before sowing the seeds. First, you should select the good quality seeds and then sow it with a proper distance between plants. And if you do, you would get the proper supply of sunlight, nutrients and water, which are all the essential for your plants' welfare and the efficient growth. Clear, children? So next we are going to see the methods of sowing. As you saw that in the last process, what was the first process? Number 1 process was preparation of soil. We saw the ploughing tools. Hoe, cultivator is nothing but your tractor, and plough. Did you see the images of those instruments in your book, my dear children? Okay, alright. The same way your sowing also will involve some methods. There are 3 methods to sow your seeds: broadcasting method, traditional tool and seed drill. So let us see one by one in detail. Okay, so this is your broadcasting method. How do I Sow the seeds in this method means, as the name tells, broadcasting. Have you ever come across this word broadcasting? You would have come across this in your medias. Broadcast. Broadcast means supplying it to a wide area on a whole. The same way, broadcasting method in your sowing process is nothing but you're going to throw the seeds by taking it in your hand. You're just going to spread or scatter the seeds. Okay, like you would have seen in some movies also. The farmer will have the seeds in some basket and he will take it in his hand and throw it away like that, just like that. That is what called as your broadcasting method. So what happens after sowing the seeds? It will be available on the soil. If I just leave the seeds above the soil, the plant will not grow. I have to, what is that? I have to cover it with soil. That is how even you planted sapling. You dig it, put the soil, seeds inside and then again cover it with the soil. The same way, after scattering of the seeds, I level it again. So leveling means again covering it with soil. Okay, so this is a very old traditional method which was followed by our ancient people and we don't use in practice now. The reason behind this, it has many disadvantages. Let us see the disadvantages in detail. When I throw the seeds on the hole by hand, there are more chances for overcrowding and uneven distribution of seeds. So whenever there is overcrowding, obviously there will be a improper nutrition supply by the soil to the seeds. So that is the reason I avoid practicing this broadcasting method of sowing. Okay, so the drawback of this method is overcrowding is possible. Just imagine, I may throw the seeds in my hand just like that. So some area may be of more seeds and some area may be of less seeds. There may be uneven distribution of the seeds. So that is why I am avoiding this method. Okay, let us move to the next method. That is your traditional tool method. So traditional tool method, as the name tells again, it is a traditional method and you are going to use a tool. That is what the name indicates. Okay, so what type of tool I am going to use here is a funnel shaped tool. Okay, so this is nothing but a tube. It will be coming, I will draw it once again so that you will understand the tool. See, you will be having some piercing ends here. What do you mean by piercing and cutting ends at the bottom? Okay, and you will have some hollow spaces connected from these cutting ends to another funnel shaped tube. Okay, so that is what from this funnel shaped tool, as I put on the seeds inside, it will pass through these hollow spaces and it will reach the cutting end. And this cutting end, what happens? As I keep on moving the tool on the field, it will drop the seeds just like that and then it will be digging your soil as well because they have the sharp edges at the end. Okay, they have an opening at the end so that your seed also drops as well as they pierce away. They dig the soil and move as I move the tool. Okay, so that is what your traditional tool method is. This involves manpower. You want a man to do this work of putting the seeds always inside the funnel. So we came again with another new idea. That is, as the technology is improvised, we come up with new emerging ideas, right? The next method is your modern method followed by nowadays, that is your seed drill method. That is, you use your tractor. Your tractor we have already seen for plowing, for digging also we have seen the tractor, and for sowing also you are using your tractor. That is the seed drill method speciality. Okay, in your tractor you will be having at the end, that is another tool attached to the tractor having the cutting ends on both the side. Okay, so as the seeds are all, and it will be connected to your tractor on both the side. So as the tractor moves, again the seeds will be dropped on the soil. Okay, so once it goes, it will be dropping, and once again it comes back, the soil again covers it, because you cannot leave the soil just like that above the soil. It has to, I mean, above the soil, right. It has to be covered. The seeds has to be covered with the soil. So that is a speciality of your seed drill method. So seed gets covered by soil again after being sown. So once, if this is your area, let us consider this is your field area, okay? You have your tractor running in this direction. So first, as it moves, what will it will do? It will be sowing the seeds through your seed drill. And what happens in the next return path? You will not put the seeds. Instead, the cutting edges will dig the soil and come. So the seeds will be now, what is that? It will go inside the soil and it gets covered. That is your tractor's usage in this method. So in this method, my time, energy, labor, means your manpower, everything will be saved, and this is the most efficient method. Okay children, for your sowing process. Apart from these three methods of sowing, there is another new method followed in your sowing process. That is transplantation. What does this mean, transplant? Your contextual meaning of transplant in your English is transferring. So, in this method, you will be transferring the sapling from nursery to the field. You would have seen that some nurseries growing small plants in their area, like tomato, chilies plant, guava plant, saplings will be present there in the nurseries. After growing there, I will be growing the sapling by putting the seeds in the soil, okay, and then providing all the nourishing material, sunlight, water, everything the proper amount, and I will grow it until the seed germinates into a sapling, into a small plant. Sapling means a small plant. Sapling means small plant. This started initial growth of the plant. Okay, after once it has been grown into a sapling, I will transfer it to the field. I will manually, by manual power, I will be again sowing it in the field. This is also another process of growing. Okay children, so I hope you're clear with your sowing process. I have attached some another videos for you all to understand about the seed drill method and traditional tool method. That is what we follow nowadays in the farming area. You can watch that for better understanding. Clear? Okay. So the next process in your crop production is adding manure and fertilizer. So what is meant by manure and fertilizer? In Tamil we tell it as uram, right? That is what called as manure and fertilizer. So why are we using this for the growth of the plants? Because they have the substances which are all containing the nutrients essential for the growth of the plant. So you may get a question now, ma'am, already the soil has the sufficient amount of nutrients for the growth of the plant. But why am I putting extra manure and fertilizers to it? Is it because of the huge demand of the people need or any other reason? Yes, it is because of the huge demand. Also, another important factor why I am adding fertilizer and manures to the land area is farmers are continuously growing crops in the land. So if I keep on using a blanket for few days, after 1 year it will tear, correct? Because of the continuous usage. Similar way, the land area which is continuously used for growing more and more of crops will lose its fertility. What is meant by fertility? Will lose its minerals and nutrients content. I have to restore it again. So that is why I am adding manure and fertilizer. So the continuous growth of plants in the field will lead me to the poor nutrients. I am going to restore the nutrients by adding manure and fertilizers. Is manure and fertilizer one and the same? Let us see now. They are not the one and the same. The difference is manure is your organic matter. What is meant by organic? Organic means natural substances. Okay? Manure means which is obtained from the nature. Okay? So, how am I getting manure means, the best example I can tell you for this is Kapan movie. You would have seen that he pays the money to the people to use the washroom and he collects the human waste. Do you remember that scene in the movie? Yes. So after collecting the waste, what does he do? He stores the waste in a pit, and after few days it gets decomposed by the microorganisms. What are the microorganisms that helps the farmer? Earthworm. Do you remember? Farmer's best friend is earthworm. So, I am going to collect the plant and animal waste and I will dump it in the pits and I will allow it for few days so that it gets decomposed. Decompose means, what do you mean by decomposition? It means decaying. So, after decaying, it will be having so much of nutrients which are all very need for the soil for its growth of the plant. So, since I have got it from the natural sources, I call the name as organic manure, naturally obtained manure. The substance which is going to give the nutrients for the soil obtained in a natural way is called as your manure. Okay, that is nothing but your vermicomposting. You would have already learnt in your lower grade. What is vermi? Vermi means usage of worms, earthworm, ringworms and all, right? So the usage of earthworm for decomposition of the waste is your vermicomposting, and using it as a substance to restore the nutrients in the soil. That is called as your manure. Clear, children? So next we are going to see about the fertilizer. Okay, so what is the difference between manure and fertilizer is, manure is nothing but the natural substance and fertilizer is your artificial. Okay, let us see that later. But before that, fertilizers are more used nowadays than manure. The reason behind that is it gives us more yield. More yield means more number of crops are grown with more amount of nutrients in it. The yield of the plants in a very short time is high. I can better tell like that. Yield means the crop normally takes, if it is taking 6 months, means if I use fertilizer, I can harvest it in 4.5 months itself. Okay, that is a speciality of your fertilizer. Manure is like your natural way of growing the crop. It will take the same amount of 6 months time to give the end product. But fertilizer will speed up. That is how the human's technology stands there. So fertilizer is nothing but your artificial substance. So I give the name as inorganic. It has the chemicals in it and it is very rich in nutrients than your manure. Okay, and it is prepared in your factories. Where does your manure is prepared? In your pits. Where you have dumped the waste, there you get the manure. Okay, this is the natural way of production. Whereas your fertilizers are prepared in your factories. So some examples of your fertilizers are given. You need to remember this: urea, potash, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate. These are all your fertilizers used nowadays widely. And NPK is a very important fertilizer. NPK is nothing but your N stands for nitrogen. P stands for phosphorus. And K stands for potassium. You would have learnt your chemistry elements, right? The same. Its symbol NPK. This is a very famous fertilizer used by all the farmers nowadays because it has all the nutrients in a large amount to be supplied to the crop. Okay, so this is your specialty of your fertilizer. So anything of too much is good for nothing, right? Similar way, whenever I use excess of fertilizer, I would end up seeing the soil again losing its fertility, and water pollution is also caused. See, my dear children, by using fertilizer, water pollution is caused. It is a very big drawback of your fertilizer. It is again going to make your soil less fertile. So I cannot use manure also because I cannot cope up with the huge demand. I cannot go with the fertilizers also because that is going to spoil my soil again more and more. So what is the best way I can choose is crop rotation. Crop rotation means alternate growth of crops. If one season I have chosen the wheat growth, means the next season I should go with legumes. Legumes means nothing but the fodder. Fodder means what do they tell? Fodder is nothing but the food which is given to your cows and all. You can search for the image in your net. You would have seen that. I don't know how to tell that in Tamil. Legumes, fodder and solvanga. Maattu Thivanam, they tell, right? The same thing, legumes. So your legumes enables the growth of rhizobium. I hope you would have come across this word rhizobium. It is nothing but a bacteria. This rhizobium bacteria is grown in the roots of the legume. So what is the main speciality of rhizobium, my dear children? It is another name for rhizobium bacteria is nitrogen fixing bacteria. You would have learnt in your 7th standard. Nitrogen fixing bacteria. So rhizobium is present in the roots of your legumes, and this bacteria will fix the nitrogen. It is going to restore the nitrogen in the soil. So the next, after harvesting legume, if I grow the wheat, natural nitrogen source is available to the crop by this method, crop rotation. So this is the most encouraged method, but unfortunately our farmers are failing to do so because they wanted to meet the huge demand and they wanted to see money from farming. So they don't follow the crop rotation method. If they follow that, and we don't want to use any of our manure or fertilizers also to restore the soil nutrients. So another point which I missed out here is uses of manure. We saw this already. It improves soil texture. Texture in the sense, it is nothing but your soil's condition. Soil rich in nutrients, minerals, bringing back its original condition. Okay? Enhances water retaining capacity. The soil's moisture capacity. Moisture means water retaining. How much amount of water does the soil can hold? And replenishes the soil with nutrients. Replenishes means bringing back, restoring. So these are the uses of your manure. So we saw the two processes. I'm going a bit slow with your first chapter, my dear children. So last class we saw the first process, soil preparation, and today we have seen the next two process, sowing and adding manure and fertilizers. Please be clear with the concepts. If you have any doubt, you can contact me. And regarding today's homework, I have given some few questions. Okay? You need to find out the answers for that from the notes which you have taken after listening to my class. As I taught you, you would have taken some notes, right? Like me in the note, in your homework classwork note. Refer that and find out the answers for the question which I gave you. Don't rely on the teacher to give you the fair notes and question and answers and make you prepare. You are all now grown-ups. I will give you the fair notes only at the end of the chapter. So you cannot wait for me until that. You have to start preparing with the notes which I gave you. I'm going to consolidate all these things and give you at the end as fair note. So both are going to be the same. You can start learning. Don't waste time. These notes are nothing but you are going to be a fair notes. Okay? See you in the next class, children. Please be safe. Thank you.